Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Fatma Abid and thank you for joining us. Tonight we'll take a look back at how the economy here in Arizona has changed due to the pandemic.
The demand for housing in Arizona has never been higher. A new bill was introduced today that would increase housing supply and affordability. Cronkite News reporter Molly McBride went down to the Capitol to speak with the representatives who are sponsoring the bill.
Rent prices are continuing to climb, especially affecting mid to low-income families. Two legislators want to change that and are working together to combat the housing crisis.
It's often said that purchasing a home is the greatest asset that one can obtain throughout our lifetime. I would say that that would be true if that goal was attainable.
The state right now is facing a housing crisis, and we need a statewide response to this crisis.
Republican Stephen Kaiser and Democrat Cesar Chavez are sponsoring Bill HB 2674. They say the bill will make more affordable housing available in Arizona. According to a national rent report, 4 Arizona cities are in the top 10 for fastest growing rent, including Scottsdale, Mesa, Phoenix, and Glendale.
And streamline zoning processes that recognize the need for all types of housing in Arizona.
The bill will take away unnecessary building requirements that limit affordable housing options. It also includes an $89 million investment to the Arizona Department of Housing Trust Fund. These dollars will support transitional, affordable, and workforce housing. Representative Chavez said that bipartisanship is essential to passing the bill.
Everything that Arizona stands for has been done in a bipartisan fashion, and I hope and I know that that's not going to change with this particular bill.
Chavez says that if the bill passes, people in Arizona will have affordable housing options that fit their needs and provide them the opportunity to invest in Arizona. In the newsroom, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
Affordable housing is emerging as a prominent priority in the fight for economic equality. For members of the Pascua Yaqui tribe, a housing project is underway to put that housing within reach. Madison Thomas has updates on the progress.
According to Keith Gregory, the tribe's director of housing, more than 1,000 families in the Pascua Yaqui tribe are on the wait list for affordable housing. But for 200 families, the wait will soon be over.
Construction in southwest Tucson is in full swing on this housing development that is the first of its kind.
What we're trying to do has never been done before anywhere in tribal housing. It's the first phase of the project, the phase that's under construction right now, is literally the largest tax credit project ever done in the United States on tribal land.
Gregory says the tribe applied for the tax credits through the state's Department of Housing. The project received roughly $15 million through tax credits sold to investors.
The tax credit program is authorized by the federal government. They allocate dollars to the states that then are allocated to individual projects.
The project has experienced several setbacks and challenges along the way, which has pushed back completion dates.
COVID was definitely one of them. We did lose a lot of manpower for quite a period of time.
The construction company is expecting to complete the first phase of the project by the end of the year. The homes will have a modern look, and stakeholders say they will meet the needs of families in the community.
Right now, we're building 50 homes. We got 3 types of models, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom.
This land behind me will soon be under construction as well. The development for new townhomes will begin soon.
The next phase will include 27 units, and a third phase is currently in design. Gregory says that they are committed to providing the community with the resources that they need.
Housing is more than just buildings. It's an opportunity to help people reach their own goals.
After renting homes for 15 years, tenants will have the option to buy the home at a reduced rate. Gregory says this allows families to build generational wealth from the home's equity. In the newsroom, Madison Thomas, Cronkite News.
After COVID-19 forced a year-long hiatus of the point-in-time count of homelessness, it is finally back on. Cronkite News reporter Raven Payne joined the count coordinators as they surveyed people experiencing homelessness and tells us why this event is important to those communities.
When your home is on the street, it's easy to feel like you're seen.
It's not, it's not the worst.
But not counted.
Chronic fatigue, digestive. I have SIBO.
John O'Boyle fell into homelessness after an illness in college.
I had I don't know, they call chronic fatigue, mononucleosis, back in '86.
And 30 years later, he's still struggling.
It's a long time ago, and I haven't really recovered.
On this cold, dark morning, Boyle is one of thousands of people experiencing homelessness in Maricopa County who are seen and counted.
And how old are you?
54.
54, very nice.
Volunteers hit city streets counting and surveying people experiencing unsheltered homelessness to gather data. This data helps tell a story about individuals.
If we're able to use the point in time count to show that homelessness currently exists in the area and we're seeing an increase in it, it helps tell the story for why, increased resources and shelter is important.
According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the count revealed close to 11,000 people were experiencing homelessness in Arizona in 2020. Based on these numbers, the state was able to receive more than $46 million toward programs like transitional housing just across the way.
Volunteers weren't out counting last year because of the pandemic, but Elizabeth DeCosta says there was a silver lining.
As far as it relates to homelessness services, COVID-19 shed a spotlight on the public health crisis that is homelessness, right? That people, while we were all kind of staying at home, there were people out there that had no place to go. They were surviving on the streets and had nowhere to go. So because of that, we got a lot more resources coming into our community.
Resources like transitional housing, which can be challenging to get.
I've tried to get housing, I've tried to get places to stay, but I don't know, it just doesn't work,
Despite the hardships, O'Boyle chooses to look forward.
No, I have no regrets though. Being homeless is it's not for everyone, obviously. Some people experience, temporary. Mine's been pretty chronic. Mine's been more than half my life, so.
Now armed with new information from this year's effort, there will be help for O'Boyle and thousands of others who are now seen and counted. In Phoenix, Raven Payne, Cronkite News.
Violent crime is on the rise both nationally and in Arizona. A bipartisan group of House members on Capitol Hill today unveiled what they think may be a solution. Cronkite News reporter Alexia Stanbridge reports from our Washington bureau.
The bill is called the Victim Act. It would direct additional funds to police agencies and support victims and their families, a move supporters say is needed.
It helps us train officers, bring more officers on board, identifies clearly for a funding source for those officers, identifies how we work with victims and help within the criminal justice system itself.
It comes amid a surge in violent crime in recent years. Nationally, violent crime rose from 380 for every 100,000 Americans in 2019 to 398 per 100,000 in 2020, the last year for which numbers are available.
The Victim Act will help address this issue by supplying much-needed grant funding to agencies to fill, replenish, and train their homicide and detective forces.
The rate is even higher in Arizona, where there were 484 violent crimes per 100,000 people in 2020. That's why Congressman O'Halloran says he's a co-sponsor.
When we invest in training and hiring and support of our officers, we invest in the community.
Details of the bill are still being worked out, but one thing's for sure, no one here thinks defund the police is the answer.
When we talk to communities, particularly those in some of the most high crime areas, they will say, no, we don't want to defund the police. We want to fund the police.
Representatives who were backed today by police representatives called the bipartisan bill a, quote, common sense measure, no matter what party you belong to.
Solving crimes and bringing justice to victims and their families makes our streets safer. And it also will improve relationships between communities and the police who serve them.
The bill was introduced in October, and even though it has 30 co-sponsors, it still has a long way to go. But O'Halloran says it's, quote, a step in the right direction.
Our citizens need to be protected, our officers need to be protected, and that goes with training, picking out the right officers, making sure we have follow-through, and the investment in our society that this Congress should be doing.
In Washington, Alexia Stanbridge, Cronkite News.
We reached out to local police agencies for reaction to the bill. Sergeant Hector Encinas, a spokesperson for the Tempe Police Department, said his agency welcomes any financial or other support that, quote, helps us do our job.
CASAs, or court-appointed special advocates, are volunteers that work with the court system and advocate for children in foster care. There is a huge shortage of volunteers, but some innovations brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic may make it easier for people to become a CASA volunteer.
It's like establishing a friendship.
Stephanie Webster underwent in-person training to become a CASA in 2015. Since then, she's advocated for both young children and teens.
You picked this case, so you want to be their friend, but you need to know them. You need to learn about every part of their case.
Webster now helps train new CASAs. CASA training specialist Marcel Manriquez is a part of the organization's new virtual training created during the pandemic.
We are really pleased with the results that we've gotten from doing virtual, and so we are gearing up to keeping that around and making sure that we have that as an option for individuals.
Manriquez leads several of the virtual training sessions that include close to 500 volunteers from all over the state. In the past, the 30 hours of training CASAs need was only available in person, which Manriquez says limited who could become a CASA.
We don't want training to be the one thing that's holding you back from being able to then help a child.
Currently, there are over 1,200 CASA volunteers here in the state, and they are serving over 1,400 kids. But in Department of Child Services custody, there are over 12,000 kids that do not have a CASA.
The virtual training requires 15 hours of in-class work and 15 hours working on your own, which includes required readings, watching videos, and working with groups. Manriquez says the virtual option is here to stay.
We will continue to keep the virtual option up and running so that we can hit some of those other individual situations that don't allow them to come in person.
Webster, like many other CASAs, still keeps in touch with former clients who have aged out of the system, including one who she considers like a grandchild.
She keeps in touch with me all the time, and she comes to me with a lot of questions. But I see the growth, and I think that she's going to have a great life.
Thanks in part to the help of CASAs like Stephanie Webster.
Another change that came because of COVID is that many court hearings are held virtually, which makes it much easier for everyone, including CASAs, to attend. For more information on becoming a CASA volunteer, you can go to azcasavolunteer.org.
Traffic noise can be annoying, but for some, it goes beyond being a nuisance. Cronkite News reporter Molly Hudson went to one neighborhood where the traffic noise is actually causing health problems and spurring legislation.
The neighborhood in North Phoenix is home to a residential community for adults with disabilities. The highway was built before the residential community, but now the people living there hope they can make some changes to bring a little quiet to their lives.
This is the noise that resident Wynn Charles lives with on a daily basis.
There's 8 lanes of traffic going constantly 24/7.
Wynn lives at Luna Azul, a residence for adults with disabilities right on the frontage road at 16th Street and the 101.
When we step outside our homes, all we hear is constant noise.
Wynn has cerebral palsy, a neurological condition that impacts her in a lot of ways, including needing to use a wheelchair. And the constant noise?
This noise is making my cerebral palsy worse. And I hate to say it, but it is.
It has even woken her up in the middle of the night.
It's anger. It's really anger because people don't understand unless I teach them, which I do on a daily basis, what cerebral palsy is.
But what frustrates her even more is the sound barrier across the street. Wynn lives in a neighborhood on this side of the street where she says the sound is unbearable. And there's no sound barrier. But if we take a few steps across the street, there's a large sound barrier protecting the desert. Senator Paul Boyer hopes to address the need for a sound barrier with his newly introduced bill.
It directs the Arizona Department of Transportation to build a sound barrier.
Boyer said ADOT reports that the sound level in the area was 0.1 decibels below the minimum for a sound barrier. And while the noise level may not meet ADOT minimum, it makes a huge difference to residents like Wynn, who is part of a collective fighting for the new law. Boyer hopes his bill will give residents the relief they need.
We wouldn't accept this if this was our backyard, and we shouldn't expect these residents to have to deal with this ridiculous amounts of noise every single evening, and during the day as well.
For Wynn, who has to play music to fall asleep, she says the entire neighborhood is impacted by the noise.
the neighbors hear, children can hear it, the vets can hear it, the neighbors behind us can hear it. We can hear it like so amazingly, and so it irritates me.
I reached out to ADOT, who said they do not comment on pending legislation. The bill goes before the Appropriations Committee tomorrow. In the newsroom, Molly Hudson, Cronkite News.
Stream the best of PBS on any device with the PBS Video app. All your favorite drama, history, science, news, and documentaries, all in one place. Watch your PBS station live or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and locally produced shows from your station.
Sign in and start streaming today.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. You know, I don't go anywhere without my passport. And now, thanks to PBS Passport, you can travel with me and watch all 10 seasons of Rick Steves Europe and all my travel specials. This exclusive streaming service is just for our members. Not only can you see all my shows, but you can see thousands of hours of your favorite public television shows. Become a member today and get your passport.
Phoenix is one of the worst in the nation when it comes to safety on our roads, and Phoenix has one of the highest fatality rates. The problem is worse in lower income neighborhoods and communities of color. Molly McBride tells us what the city of Phoenix is trying to do to make our streets safer.
Earlier this week, the City Council voted to join the Vision Zero network and create an action plan to make city streets safer. The plan will include major improvements to roads and intersections across the city. I talked to a local business employee who says the change is welcome.
2-car collision, 3-car collision. The most I've seen is a 4-car collision.
Giovanni Mojica works near the intersection of 19th Avenue and Southern. He says he has seen a lot of accidents during his time working at the Quick Corner. So many that he has gotten used to the sound.
And after like 3 times, you just already know that noise is so familiar. It's a car accident.
19th Avenue and Southern is one of the 3 intersections that the City of Phoenix is focusing some of its first safety efforts toward. The others are 75th Avenue and Indian School and 16th Street and Camelback. In a policy session earlier this week, the City Council heard about data from the National Highway Safety Administration that ranked Phoenix as 3rd highest for fatalities, right behind LA and Houston. The numbers don't surprise City Council members.
You know, it seems every day that we as the mayor and the City Council members get a text from our police commander liaison that alerts us to some traffic fatality. Tragically, it often involves a pedestrian.
One step as a part of the Vision Zero network is for the city to create a road safety action plan. Improvements will include modernizing traffic signals, identifying hotspots, and developing crash data analysis tools. The final plan will be presented to the City Council this fall. And for Mojica, the drive towards safety is welcome.
Well, I hope that they see that they care, that the city cares about the community. So hopefully, it uplifts the community in a better way.
The City of Phoenix is seeking input on how to improve roads in your neighborhood. You can take an interactive survey at phoenix.gov/road safety. In the newsroom, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
According to the Arizona Office of Tourism, Arizona travel spending declined from more than $25 billion in 2019 to $15 billion in 2020. Cultural tourism took a big part of that hit, with many tribal landmarks and attractions shut down during the pandemic. Mackenzie Allen Charmley has more on how tribes are trying to bring tourism dollars back.
With dancing, singing, food, art, and cultural exhibitions, the Arizona American Indian Association brought together representatives from the 22 tribes in the state to revitalize and bring awareness to cultural tourism. Board member Dorothy Gishi is grateful for Native communities to have more control over their narratives.
As Native American indigenous tribes, we're wanting to take more of a role in inviting people to our different communities because we want to tell our stories. We know what our historical histories are. We know what our cultures are.
However, COVID-19 was an immense burden on the tourism industry, and especially its cultural sectors. According to the Arizona Office of Tourism, Arizona's travel economy, which includes native tourism, lost billions in revenue, dropping a total of 41% from 2019 to 2020. Native communities were especially affected. Hopi vendor Bonnie Sekakaku says her tribe faced hardship.
It's been really a hard struggle, and that's probably been the most impactful thing is not being able to come visit and learn who we are. And then the people that survive off of this economically are kind of without a job.
Navajo and Hopi artist Sean Rogers says the event is an opportunity for those who can't travel to tribal lands.
To share our culture, it feels good when we bring it to you guys here in the city. It helps you, you know, and then you get more in the depth of what we are, what we do, what we pray for, what we sing for.
In Scottsdale, Mackenzie Allen Charlie, Cronkite News.
Many reservations and their tourist destinations are open for the tourism season. However, tribal officials recommend calling ahead to see if any COVID-19 precautions are in place.
Graffiti has an impact beyond just what you can see. February is Graffiti Free Awareness Month in Phoenix. It's an effort to tackle the crime and to discourage more graffiti. Faith Abercrombie followed one of the graffiti busters and discovered the team covers or removes up to 200 sites of tagging each day.
Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight. Other times, you can't miss it.
We'll keep coming back every other day to remove that graffiti. It's not a problem.
Michael Rios hits the road early 4 days a week. He is known as a graffiti buster.
It is a passion of mine to go out there and make the city beautiful.
The city of Phoenix has 17 people removing graffiti 7 days a week. Their target goal is to clean up 40 markings a day, a goal that isn't hard to reach.
We have our phones that actually sends all our caseloads to us. So we have a bunch of cases on here, then on top of what we see in the city. I just think anybody should just report the graffiti as soon as they see it. It's getting out of control.
If you see something, say something. You can report any graffiti sighting in Phoenix, and at the click of a button, within 48 hours, it's like it never happened.
I'm going to push everybody to that My Phoenix 311 app because everybody has a smartphone.
Rios power washes, paints, and uses chemicals to remove unwanted markings.
See how it just comes right off?
It does more than just erase a blemish. It can make neighborhoods feel safer.
That tells people who are in that area, who live in the area or work in the area, that crime never occurred.
It's a race against time.
The quicker we get the graffiti down, the less likely it is to recur in that same location.
But at the end of the day, the main goal remains the same.
To make the community look a lot nicer than what it did that day we went into that community.
In Phoenix, Faith Abercrombie, Cronkite News.
Along with the My Phoenix 311 app, you can report graffiti by calling 602-534-4444 or emailing blight@phoenix.gov. A nationwide study found almost 28% of pet owners have trouble getting veterinary care. Cronkite News reporter Molly McBride visited a mobile vet clinic to see how organizations in our community are helping pet owners. The event was a partnership between the Arizona Humane Society and Nourish Phoenix, and it provided an opportunity for many pet owners in Phoenix to get their animal the veterinary care they need for no cost. According to experts, two of the most common struggles for pet owners seeking vet care are money and transportation. And COVID has only added to the problem, causing clinic closures and staffing shortages, making it harder for animals to get the care they need.
So a lot of pets didn't get their preventative care and vaccinations.
And it's been really tough for COVID, a lot of staff shortages too.
Sandra Quintana with Nourish Phoenix says many of their clients have had to make tough decisions, making rent or paying for veterinary care for their pet.
They weren't able to pay for their rent or their utilities, so they have to prioritize that over the health of their dogs.
Quintana is the SNAP coordinator at Nourish Phoenix, a community hub that provides resources to vulnerable people. She says that clients often ask for food for their cats and dogs. On this day, they'll get much more. The Arizona Humane Society Healthy Tails Mobile Clinic offered vaccinations, flea and tick prevention, and microchipping. The Humane Society says they cared for up to 100 animals in a single day.
This is Saint. He's only about like 2 months.
Saint is here for a microchip and flea treatment. His owner is grateful for the care.
I guess it shows that people are still out here caring for others, and that's real important. It all takes love for everybody. Everybody needs to find love in everybody, so.
The mobile clinic is out in neighborhoods across the valley. This Saturday, it will be in the Maryvale Community Center. For more information on upcoming events, visit the Arizona Humane Society website. In the newsroom, Molly McBride, Cronkite News.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.